RS-25 engines lit. 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition. And liftoff. The crew of Artemis II now bound for the moon.
And they are off. The crew of the Artemis II now on their way to the moon after a successful launch, marking the first moon mission in over 50 years. And NASA says they are off to a stellar start.
Secure, and they're in great spirits. We will continue to monitor their health and the status as we move into the next phase of the Artemis II mission. So after a brief 54-year intermission, NASA is back in the business of sending astronauts to the moon.
As we speak, the crew is embarking on a 10-day mission to test systems in deep space and potentially pave the way for future moon landings. NASA receiving a presidential congratulations during that address last night as well.
Let me begin by congratulating the team at NASA and our brave astronauts on the successful launch of Artemis II. It was quite something. They are on the way, and God bless them. These are brave people. We want to God bless those 4 unbelievable astronauts.
They are brave people because guess what, Todd? These 4 astronauts are going approximately, here's the number, 252,799 miles from Earth. They are going to become the furthest humans to ever travel into space, and they're going to the far side of the moon to test lunar landing equipment.
Words that came to mind for me yesterday: excitement. Of course, this was beyond exciting. Yes. Patriotic. I mean, this is America at its best. But also, you know, I'm a little bit older than you, and I was 7 years old in second grade when the Challenger exploded. So when I see moments like this, there's a sense of relief that everything goes off according to plan. Because when you're in those like formative years and you see a tragedy like that, every time you see something like this, there's that pit in your stomach, like, is this going to work out? And to hear that it did, it was relief, but awesome.
Yeah, and that's why the president said that these people are brave, because you always do wonder about that. I would also put emotional in there to watch this unfold. I watched it with my 3-year-old son, and his reaction was, I love that rocket ship. So who knows, maybe a future astronaut.
Future astronaut, rock in space. You should write that children's book.
That gum, that gum, that gum. That gum, that gum, that gum.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, a wild and exciting last couple of days. Thank you very much for sticking with us. We appreciate you rolling. Over the last 5 days, we've interviewed the vice president. He confirmed that aliens were demons, and then we interviewed the NASA administrator inside of NASA, overlooking the Artemis II rocket, which we were able to walk right up to. It was unbelievable. This is like a truly out-of-this-world experience. Forgive the dad pun there. But then he, the NASA administrator confirms aliens are real, along with a number of other really inspirational and cool things that, lift your spirit as an American. And even the coldest and darkest of hearts, and of course, I'm talking about Jerry on this program, and Klein, even those cold, dark, sallow hearts frozen in the Arctic could be warmed by what we were able to see live yesterday with the Artemis II going to the moon. We own the moon. The moon is ours. An important reminder that communism must lose. America must win. And while there are ups and downs, and certainly there have been some downs, we're going to talk about those on the show, there's also a lot of great energy out there. And we want to capture that. It's the only way that we're going to win. I got kids here. I want them to be raised as Americans. I want them to have a future and a functional, inspirational, aspirational, stable, safe, secure, clean country. Ladies and gentlemen, a day at NASA will do it for you. It was very, very interesting. We broke some news. Does the NASA administrator believe in God? What does going out to space prove about our creator? We asked Jared Isaacman. We'll get to those clips in just one moment. Today is Thursday, April 2nd, 2026, so no April Fools. Today, we did have a April Fool's joke for you, which was a wild interview with the NASA administrator that we dropped yesterday. It was real. It wasn't a joke at all. But we did ask some things, and we were surprised at the answers. Also, President Trump gave an address last night detailing the future of the war in Iran. Markets not responding pleasantly. Some major warning signals to the administration, of which I love and care about. But some major warning signals on this conflict of the administration that cannot be ignored. The midterms are moments away. Goodness, Klein, it's April. So the midterms are what, 8 months away? 7 months away? Holy moly. It is going to be a roller coaster. So buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. We have Greg Steube on the show. We have Mark Meadows on the show. Sharp congressional minds, sharp political strategists. We're going to ask them, well, the burning questions, which is how can Republicans win the midterms? How can we continue, ladies and gentlemen, the America First movement? How do we save it from people that wish to destroy it? My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Patriot Mobile was with us all throughout our trip to NASA. Here, how about this? Let me show you. Let me show you what we were able to film on our Patriot Mobile device. Very cool. Shot yesterday. Yeah, right here. I want you to see this one. This is Patriot Mobile, ladies and gentlemen. We tell you that they are the backbone of the show, that they work for us in the field. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the shot. Filmed from a Patriot Mobile device. This is where we watched the launch from. It was really cool. It was up on like this tower. And what you can see here. No, Klein, you had it. You had it like full feature. Oh, wow. Yo, you can see that. I'm babbling like a moron because it actually is neat to see America do cool stuff again. Like you want to see your country do stuff that only your country can do. And well, I mean, did you watch it?
Galactic
what
Empire.
Did you think? Galactic Empire. The moon is ours. I will be America Maxing from here on out. You should do so with Patriot Mobile, the only Christian conservative wireless provider. Go to patriotmobile.com/Benny. Call 972-PATRIOT and use the promo code Benny for a free month of service. patriotmobile.com/Benny. Call 972-PATRIOT to make the switch today. Okay, NASA's Artemis II blasts off towards the moon. Fiery liftoff, sending humans farther into space than ever before. A historic mission because, well, they're going way out into deep space. This 4-person crew is an actual real group of astronauts, not the Katy Perry style astronaut. Critically important to make the distinction. In fact, I think we have something from Ash, from the amazing Ashley on our team about this. There we go. Okay. There we go. Yes. Fake astronauts versus real astronauts. What can be said about 2 days at NASA? Well, Cape Canaveral, the Kennedy Space Center, is a monstrosity. It's just enormous. You've never seen a American military base or an American flight base or anything as big as this. I guess there's like, let's just start some of the like top lines here. It is this massive locked down base with these massive alien structures. The huge, go to my timeline, Klein, on the photo of me and Jared. The huge VAB, they call it, in order to build the actual spaceships inside. It's iconic. You can see the platforms upon which they've launched multiple space missions all throughout this gigantic area right up against the Atlantic Ocean. And they control like hundreds of miles in every direction. But for the first time, actually, in your lifetime or mine, all of these platforms are being bought up by various private companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin. All of these rocket companies are bidding, and they're in bidding wars to buy up the old platforms because they want to be near NASA. They want to be near the infrastructure. They want to be in the Space Coast, which allows for really excellent launch trajectories out over the ocean. It makes things really safe when you're dropping rockets because you want them to fall into the ocean. You don't want them to fall in someone's house, of course. This is critically important when it comes to re-entry as well. It's an excellent location in order to stage all of this. I mean, the size of we were able to walk right up. I mean, this is as close as any civilian can get to the rocket. It's so cool, man. They let us walk right up to, it's like massive, multiple stories tall, really something. And then when it blasted off, I mean, you were able to just feel the earth shake under your feet. I mean, it was like, it was bone jarring. I swear you could feel the heat. Maybe it was just the mind playing tricks on me, but I swear you could feel that liquid hydrogen ignite. Again, why do we do things like this? I mean, we do things like this because it's badass, because only we can, because American exceptionalism, and because it's critically important to be the masters of the universe and the galaxy. I feel like this is something that is essential to an American future, to be multiplanetary and to control near space and deep space, to be able to have a base that launches to Mars, for NASA to engage in its actual mission. The number of employees that came up to me. So we have a number of subscribers at NASA. It was very humbling. And those subscribers came up to me while we were in the lobby, or we were being shuttled around. You have to have an escort everywhere you go on base. And while ALX was there with me, while we were there, we were being shuttled from one place to another, and the employees would come out of their cubicles and would say, "What's up?" And we take a selfie and we talk. And some of these guys were like, "I've been at NASA for 25 years. I joined right when the shuttle program was at its peak, and then it collapsed, right? And NASA stopped launching Americans into space. In a genuine generational humiliation, American astronauts had to travel to Russia, Kazakhstan, to be exact, to go get launched in some dumpy USSR throwaway program out into space, which again is a scar on the face of American greatness, ingenuity, the country that brought you flight, and then 66 years later, we're sending astronauts to orbit the moon. Something that, again, like, truly boggles the mind. And if you're a believer and if you're a Christian like me, then not only does this have you believe in American supremacy, it also has you believe in the ingenuity of man as divined by God. God can make man stupid. He did this in the Tower of Babel. He causes people throughout the Bible to go dumb and mute. God can strike you down and make you stupid, right? I feel like that's happened to me quite a few times. That's the way God humbles you, but he can also give divine spark and inspiration. You can go to the Sistine Chapel and look up and divine that it is only the divine that could have allowed for something this majestic to have been painted or done. And then you can watch this from yesterday. And you can say, well, what a triumph to what humans can accomplish. Dude, this is what we filmed. This isn't the NASA film. This is what we filmed with our phones. How cool is this? ALX shot this. It was just like out of this world, man. It's neat. It was like something that says, like, well, we're not done yet. There's a lot of doomers out there. We talk about it a lot. There's a lot of people who I'm not quite sure, like, understand that, what comes next when the left takes power. But let me tell you, these NASA employees told me. These NASA employees, who I won't show you pictures of them. I won't try and name drop or anything here because I don't want to hurt anyone's career. But like ALX and I were walking the halls of NASA, and we heard it time and time again. ALX and I were walking the halls of NASA, and these employees would come up and be like, we just did DEI for the last 15 years. That's all we did. This place was mothballed. This gorgeous space center was rusting out. We weren't building rockets. We weren't planning trips. We weren't creating missions. We were doing DEI. We were trying to hire more Muslim astronauts. There's actually a headline, ALX, if you wouldn't mind finding it. It's in my timeline. Like, I don't think people fully understand exactly how bad things had gotten. The headline from the Obama era or the Biden era, I'm not exactly sure, that says NASA's main goal is to hire more Muslim astronauts. Okay, cool. Like, really? Is that actually your main goal? My kids are dressing up like astronauts this morning. I brought my kids, Klein, you can pop up the show. You can pop up the photo. My kids dressed up as astronauts this morning. I brought them a little astronaut spacesuit. And what you actually want to do is inspire. This is my 5-year-old and my 1-year-old. This is Louise and Witt. You want to inspire the little boy, this is Banana, to be an astronaut. You can't do that if your only focus is how many wheelchair-bound, hijab-wearing, transgender retards can we put up into space. Like, that can't be your goal. That can't be your sole mission. Like, if your sole mission is quota box checking, like you're a Netflix show, you're not going to inspire anyone. That style, that medium of communication inspires no one. It is narcissistic. It is broken. It is self-aggrandizing. It is selfish by nature. It doesn't show what human beings are capable of given the divinity of God and his divine spark. It actually shows how shallow we can be and the worst of humanity to reduce everyone down to your skin color, your sex, or your perceived stupid fetish, right? But that's literally what the Biden administration did. It's literally what they did. Klein, I know you're looking for it. I retweeted it. It's in my timeline. The Biden administration, we are looking. We need more Muslim astronauts. That's what they were doing. Yeah. I know someone's gonna find it. Anyway, I think it was Washington Post. Yeah, you just need to Google it. Yeah, just Google it, boys. I know. Oh, going old school here. Anyway, a cookie to the first person who finds it here on the production team. But I want to prove that this is actually true. So a marked change, obviously, from one administration to okay, yes, that's right. A marked change from one administration to another. Like the actual purpose. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't think so, guys. It was the actual NASA administrator saying this. It was like saying that this was NASA's main mission. But the reason why it's critically important is not just because of some dumbass article written by some woke reporter. The reason why it's important is because this was the stated goal as told to me by dozens of NASA employees. Thank you. Oh. Goodness gracious. Boy, man. Here we go. All right. It's absolutely brutal. Here we go. Thank you, Klein. Thank you. You saved me here. I hate saying this kind of stuff and not actually having the evidence to back it up. A lot of people getting destroyed out there on the great wide internet because they have zero receipts. And so please always bring your receipts. Here we go. NASA chief says agency's goal is Muslim outreach. Doesn't mention space. Okay. Again, it's not going to be aspirational. It's not going to be inspirational. It's not going to make new astronauts. It's not going to make new space programs. We're not going to discover new things. We're not going to build a moon base. No one's going to want to dress up as an astronaut. No kid wants to dress up as an astronaut anymore. And what does dressing up as an astronaut mean? It means you put the American flag on your arm. You can see right there. You put the American flag on your arm. You embrace the greatness that only our country can accomplish. And it lets you actually literally reach for the stars. It gave me a good opportunity to talk with my kids actually about God this morning and about his creation and searching for it and what we discover when we actually reach out beyond and into God's creation, touch the face of God. The heavens reveal his majesty, the scriptures say. The heavens praise the Lord. And so why not go to the heavens? Why not explore them? And Jared Isaacman actually told me this. He's the NASA administrator. He told me that, he's an astronaut. It's amazing how few actual astronauts are NASA administrators. Certainly not the woke DEI hire that wants more Muslim astronauts. Not the goal. That's actually atomizing the purpose of NASA, not uplifting the purpose of NASA. I said, Jared, did you connect with God when you were out in space? Because he was the first civilian to ever do a spacewalk. Dude did a spacewalk. Do we have a photo of it? Dude did a spacewalk. And there it is, yeah. This is him. So this is your NASA administrator up in a private space capsule. And he's just like chilling out in space. He's just hanging out in space. I don't know how fast he was traveling. I mean, you're orbiting the Earth. So you gotta be traveling, I don't know. How fast do you travel when you orbit the Earth? Tens of thousands of miles an hour? I don't know. I don't pretend to be some type of like extremely intelligent space scientists or analysts, but how fast do you go when you orbit the Earth? 17,500 what? This is America. Well, how many miles per hour? 17,000 miles per hour? That's how fast you're going? That's insane. That's actually like faster than I thought you'd be going. Is that true? Fact check that. Is that true, Grok? Okay, so this is your NASA administrator out traveling 17,000 miles per hour. That's how fast he's going as he's just floating in space untethered. Cool. What happened to you out there, bro? Do you believe in God now that you've floated in space by yourself 17,000 miles per hour? His answer is inspiring. Here we go.
All of this exploration of the great beyond and the mysteries that intertwine all of it, how does that affect your relationship with a creator, with God? What does the mysteries of the universe unraveled tell you? All great minds that have thought of these things or reached for the stars eventually come to some realization about their relationship with the creator.
I'll tell you, I mean, I've been to space twice, and I think it's very hard to be there and not be somewhat spiritual, because you just have an appreciation for, how small we are in the grand scheme of things, like the enormity of what's around us. And like, it had to have all started like somewhere, right? We don't have, an answer for that right now. So the idea that maybe this was all part of some extraordinary grand design is, those thoughts have to go through your mind. Like it's too interesting of a perspective not to kind of go down that road, I think. So, but it is like, this is what we are pursuing right now. We are going to learn so much, in the years ahead. And I absolutely believe we were destined to do this, to go out, to explore, and to seek out a lot of those answers. And they're waiting for us.
Typical speeds at low Earth orbit. 17,000 miles per hour. Well done, Klein. Well done. Do you know that when you're orbiting the Earth, you orbit the Earth about once every 90 minutes at that speed? So you're going all the way around the Earth every 90 minutes? That's insane, that is. Well, anyway, that dude did it a couple times. I tell you, we know Jared Isaacman pretty well. I've been advocating for Jared Isaacman to be NASA administrator for a very long time. Even though, some real asshats in the administration tried to torpedo Jared Isaacman's nomination, it got back on track. And we were successful in getting him as the chief of NASA. And the reason I wanted Jared Isaacman in this role is, and the reason why we advocated for it so aggressively, even when Trump unnominated him, unnominated him, then renominated him, is because of his vision for the program, his vision to rip all of the DEI and mothballs out of the systems, to rip the guts out of the actual, and the rot, the rust, and the cancer out of the actual NASA program, and to inspire once again. I've trusted this guy with my life, by the way. Klein, I love what you have playing there. Can you start it from the beginning? Yeah, dude. So Jared, so this is Jared Isaacman flying me in an Alpha jet in Bozeman. It's like so I literally trust the guy with my life. But he's somebody who flies fighter jets and buys fighter jets for fun, for a living, and fixes them up. After our interview, yeah. He's like, I'm going to go fly. And I was like, oh, maybe he's going to go fly back to, whatever. Take his government jet back to D.C. No, he flew directly over our heads in an F-5 fighter jet. It was so cool. So anyway, he's explaining to me his vision for NASA. I just couldn't agree with it more. And part of it is quite frankly, to, make a moon base, make a Mars base, to make Americans believe in ourselves again. And we need a lot more of that. That's been the problem, in fact. Regular launches, lunar missions, moon base, Mars missions, deep space, it's all happening. The Artemis rocket is important for this reason, Jared outlines in our interview. Here we go.
What a great time. Like you said, I mean, we are about to begin this grand return to the moon. Artemis II, right over there, Launch Complex 39B, 8.8 million pounds of thrust, going to send 4 astronauts farther into space we've ever sent humans before, faster than humans have ever been traveled before, around the moon, back safely to Earth, and set up for the subsequent missions to follow. We are going back to the moon. We're picking up where Apollo 17 left off. We're going back to stay this time. We're going to build a moon base. Yeah, we're at a great time right now where we're about to send people back to the moon. And like I said, we're going to go with frequency this time. President Trump did not want us to go there to plant the flag and leave the footsteps again. He wanted us to go and to stay, to build the moon base, to test the capabilities that are going to be necessary. So someday, when a rocket leaves here at Kennedy Space Center, maybe going to Mars.
So Artemis II, tell us about it. This is a big rocket. This has been a long time in the works. This is going to be a historic trip, the farthest out into space potentially any human being has ever gone, the fastest any human being has ever gone. You got nerves?
What's going on?
You're an astronaut yourself. I mean,
I will
talk us through this.
I will tell you, it is far easier, far less pressure to actually climb in and get strapped into the rocket and go to space than it is being on the outside, knowing that you're hitting the button. So. It's of course it's a great responsibility because it is the start of America's crewed return to the moon. So Artemis II is a test mission, right? No humans have ever flown on that rocket before. So they will go out for 10 days. They're going to start in Earth orbit, then they're going to go into high Earth orbit in the first 24 hours. And we want to make sure that the vehicle is performing as expected, because while you're in Earth orbit, you're hours away from the water. But when we hit the button on the translunar injection, that is when we send them. We send them out past the moon. We use a little bit of the moon's gravitational influence to turn it back around and slingshot it back to Earth. 10 days later, they're in the water off of the west coast of the United States. And hopefully we have learned enough about that vehicle to set us up for Artemis III in 2027. Again, that's where we're going to test the Orion spacecraft with the landers in Earth orbit. And then in 2028, for the end of President Trump's term, Artemis IV is going to put American boots back on the surface of the moon.
So you're saying boots on the ground on the moon.
2028.
Okay. I mean, that was a joke, Jared. You got to laugh. It's like funny, Don't want to talk about Iran. Don't want to talk about Iran. Boots on the ground on the moon. Fine. Good. Let's give everybody the thing that we all want, right? Astronauts back on the moon. That's what everybody wants. This is what everybody wants. Anyway, that's what the kids want. Here's a viral frickin' moon kid. Here we go.
Why do you want to be here? Why do you love space? Why do you love being a part of history?
We're going back to the frickin' moon, that's why.
We're going back to the frickin' moon. That's why. Yeah. All right. Okay, so why go to the moon? Well, we've been doing a little research, meaning we just ask people who know and have seen classified UFO information about UFOs. we've been able to make quite a few headlines, frankly, recently, about UFOs being demons. Here's J.D. Vance, just one of tens of thousands of articles written about our 20-minute interview with J.D. Vance. You know, J.D. Vance sits down for 3 and 4 hour interviews with these dork force podcasters from corporate media, and they get no clips out of it. You get no headlines out of it, right? It's just like some shrieking lib woman, like, crying about her feelings the whole time. And JD has to sit there and listen to her like a therapist. And it's very embarrassing. Or like a boyfriend who's like breaking up with her. It's very embarrassing. It's hard to watch. It's cringe, I mean, to be honest. And I told their team it's cringe. And they set me up with an interview with JD. We did not have a long time. They told me we had 20 minutes. We were able to get about 25 minutes. In that time, we were able to do like 100 million views across all platforms on clips from this interview. We were able to do what feels like 100 million headlines based on multiple breaking pieces of news out of this interview. And here's just one of them that J.D. Vance says that is probably demons flying around the Earth. Here we go.
You going to release all the UFO files?
We're working on it. It's funny. When I came in, I was obsessed with the UFO files. And then you start getting really busy worrying about the economy and national security and things like that. But I've still got 3 more years as vice president. I will get to the bottom of the UFO files.
Okay. Have you peeked? Have you done a peek?
Have I what?
Have you done a peek? Have you
So I actually haven't. I have
full
not.
Independence Day.
I have not been able to spend enough time on this to really understand it. Yeah. But I am going to. Trust me. I'm obsessed with this. I've already had a couple of times where I'm like, all right, we're going to Area 51. We're going out to New Mexico. We're going to sort of get to the bottom of this.
So he tells me that, and then I I followed up, and I was like, well, so
we saw aliens.gov.
I don't think they're aliens. I think they're demons anyway, but that's a longer discussion.
Well, I can't.
Okay. Well, he thinks they're demons. I mean, we asked a follow up. His response was like,
because Barack Obama is on this podcast, and he goes, "Yeah, aliens are real, but like, here's where they're not." And
I did not.
And so Obama says, "Yes, aliens are." He gets asked, "Are aliens real?" Oh yeah. And then he goes, "But they're not at Area 51." And
where are they?
Well, that's what he says. Right. That's a great question. Trump had to go save them, and he said he's going to declassify. Okay. So you think they're demons?
Well, look, I think that celestial beings who fly around, who do weird things to people, I think that the desire to describe everything celestial, everything is otherworldly, to describe it as aliens. I mean, every great world religion, including Christianity, the one that I believe in, has understood that there are weird things out there, and there are things that are very difficult to explain. And I naturally go, when I hear about sort of extra natural phenomenon, that's where I go to, is the Christian understanding that, there's a lot of good out there, but there's also some evil out there. And I think that one of the devil's great tricks is to convince people he never existed.
Well done, JD. It's a great answer. It's a great answer. I've heard some people give that answer before. Anna Paulina Luna, Tucker Carlson, for instance. But yeah, great answer. Okay. So what does the head of NASA think? Matt Gaetz told us about alien breeding programs last show. It was a wild one. If you didn't catch that on Tuesday, that was insane. Probably made more news than the J.D. Vance interview. UFOs are actually like secret alien breeding programs where humans are bred. Aliens are bred with humans. Got it? Got it. Okay. We don't have time to play this clip, but it is a wild one, and it's made actually a lot of hay. And there's a Tim Burchett clip going around, responding to Matt Gaetz effectively. I think this is a good little summary. Here we go.
I don't have the tinfoil hat on just yet, Congressman, but I'm wondering, kind of how you react to that, because you are connected. You're on the UFO subcommittee. I mean, I'm just wondering what you make of that. Have you heard anything like that?
Well, I'm still a member of Congress, so I can't really comment too much on what Matt said. But I will say this.
So wait, seriously? Are you being serious, or is that tongue in cheek?
I'm being 100% serious. Okay. I'm being 100% serious. I've been briefed by just about every alphabet agency there is. And I'll just tell you this: if they would release the things that I've seen, you would stay up. You'd be up at night worrying about or thinking about this stuff. We just need to disclose it all. I'm sick of it. Well, I was brief. I'll just tell you this: I was brief last week on an issue, or excuse me, 2 weeks ago, and it would have set the earth on. This country would have come unglued, I think.
Would have set the earth on fire. This country would have come unglued. This is in response to our clip with Matt Gaetz talking about extraterrestrial life, extraterrestrial samples, non-Earth origin organic matter that has been recovered. And we asked Jared about this. We said, yo, Jared, like, what's going on with this? You're head of NASA. You've been to space. A lot of these people haven't been to space. What do you think? Here's what he had to say.
The vice president made a lot of news sitting across from me a couple days ago saying, yeah, I mean, I totally agree that there's aliens. They might be demons. Well, what do you think about that?
Well, look, I did catch that, and I love that the vice president is so interested in the subject. I mean, like, space captivates everybody, right? Yeah. I mean, you know, what kids don't look up at the night sky and wonder about the possibilities? I mean, that's why I think I have the greatest job. I'm very grateful to the president for giving it to me. So, again, I think that our job is to go out there and try and solve some of the mysteries that we've all been thinking about. I do think when you bring back samples from Mars, you've got a very high probability that there was microbial life there. I do think missions like Europa Clipper and Dragonfly will you know, have good chances to increase our knowledge, right? And then you've got missions like the Habitable Worlds Observatory. You know, it's not scheduled to launch for about a decade in the future, but that is going to, you know, take like James Webb and Hubble, you know, times 100. And I think, look, as we go out there, we will find other biosignatures. You know, it's just exciting, the possibilities, what we may learn.
So he goes into, I ask him like 3 or 4 different alien questions because I'm curious. And he straight up says, yeah, I believe that there's other life in the universe. I don't know if it's going to be tentacle aliens exactly. When we get to Mars, he says there's a 90% chance we bring back life. That's what he said. That's what he told me. 90% chance we bring back life. And he says we're going to Mars. So, well, what happens next? I don't know. I guess we just keep asking, ladies and gentlemen. It was very good. All the clips are up on our social media. The actual video, though, the full interview is right here over on our YouTube. You can see the full 30 minutes with the NASA administrator live on our YouTube right now. And go ahead and watch it. It's great. It's fun. Go ahead and eat healthy, by the way, if you are an astronaut. You got to be eating healthy. If you are a human being stuck here on Earth, you got to be eating healthy. These astronauts, no obese astronauts, you know what I mean? Yeah. Masa chips is how we stay fit as a fiddle. Not exactly fit as a fiddle, but it's something. We're doing our best to stay in shape. I'm pushing 40 this year. Masa chips are healthy. They're good for you. They're made of 3 all-natural ingredients: corn, salt, and beef tallow. Make sure that you are living your healthiest, best life, and that you are somebody who can maybe get into one of those little space capsules one of these times. I mean, Jared's sitting there telling me that they're going to be launching commercial flights to the moon like crazy. Like, it's just going to be something that launches like once a month, once a day, a commercial flight to the moon to go bring up, who knows what, build the moon base, right? Maybe they'll bring Masa chips. Give them a try, ladies and gentlemen. Go to masachips.com/Benny. Use the code Benny for 25% off your first order. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code or go to Sprouts Market. You can find them there. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Greg Steube, one of our favorite congressmen from the great state of Florida, joining us now. I'm not sure if he was at the launch or not, but I know he is a man who loves space, loves the space program here in this state, and he joins us live. Congressman, how are you? Welcome back to the program. Were you at the launch? I don't actually even know.
I was not. We were in the district, and it was cloudy here, so we couldn't even see it go up. But we watched online, just like probably a lot of people in the country did. Very exciting.
Yeah,
it's awesome to have it here in Florida. I mean, it's just a great thing that we have in the Space Coast here in the great state of Florida.
Yes, it's like something that I I couldn't believe it was so close to where I live. It's about 2 hours away from Tampa. I was like, man, when they do these launches, I'm gonna bring my family. I'm gonna bring my kids. I got my kids' little astronaut suits. This is great. And you could tell when you were there at the program. I had NASA employees telling me they're just so glad that they're going back to space again and not doing DEI trainings. And it's like what they did for the last 15 years.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, look at under Democrat control what NASA did, and nobody can think of anything that they did. And now under Trump, we're launching moon flights and test flights, and it's really exciting. It's an exciting time, not just for the state of Florida, but for our country.
I know we have a lot to talk about. I want to maybe just get this out of the way because we've been making banger headlines about asking about UFOs and alien life, and just why not? There's nothing else to talk about in the world. And so, you have a security clearance, you're somebody who's an Army veteran. You served in the military. What do you think? What do you think about
Well, as I listened to your monologue and your read up, I'm like, man, I got to ask for other briefings because I haven't gotten the Tim Burchett briefing. And I read the article about Gates, and it seems like some guy just showed up and started talking about this. I mean, I have gotten some briefings, but there's no evidence that I have seen that tells me that it's something that's extraterrestrial. We had those I wouldn't say attacks, but we had those UFOs around military bases in the Virginia area and ended up being, drones.
Do you believe that, Congressman? Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah,
but, no, do you believe that's what they were? Because those drones look crazy, man. I mean, what wouldn't they go? Come on, it's you ever seen the close-ups of these things? I don't know.
They
man.
say they move at a much quicker speed, but some of the balloons can move at those speeds. And I think it would be very ignorant for us as the United States to think that the Chinese and the Russians don't have some type of drone capability that we're not aware of. Yeah. So when I had the briefers there, I said, well, was there anything that was ever recovered from any of these things that wasn't Earth-based material? And they didn't have. There wasn't an answer for that. So I would love to get some of these briefings that. Burchard is talking about. So maybe I need to go to the Intel committee and be like, all right, we need some real UFO briefings if there's stuff that you guys have that you're not telling us.
I just want to clarify that story. So wait a second. You went and asked your briefer from presumably some Intel agency about the drones and whether they were not of earthly origin?
No, there's been footage. You've been seeing it on social media. There's a ton of open source information out there about these vehicles, these UFOs that are traveling at speeds that are much higher than we have anything that can travel at those speeds. Yep. And so one of the questions that a lot of us have had has been, why don't we shoot these things down when we see them? There's that Navy footage you've seen around. There's other footage you've seen around of things flying around at a speed that we don't have capability, that we don't have anything that can fly at that speed. And obviously you had the big Chinese balloon that flew over during the Biden administration that they refused to shoot down until after it had traversed the entire United States. So one of the questions that I said was, is there anything of outside of, any element or anything that's been recovered that's been outside of the United States of anything? And I got a negative response to that. So I have not seen any evidence that would give me any indication that this is something from outer space. But apparently I need the Tim Burchett briefing.
Well, yeah, that's right.
I'm apparently not talking to the right people.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
So maybe Intel should have a briefing on that.
I mean, who knows? There might be an alien breeding center in your district, Congressman. You got to figure this out, right? I mean, there might be an illegal alien breeding center in your district, and you should also figure that one out. What, are you talking about footage like this? This is our favorite clip that we played. Somebody who's also, I know your colleague, somebody that you love working with, Anna Luna.
Yeah, that's exactly what. Yeah.
Yep.
We've a ton of those.
So I live here in Fighter City, right? I there's MacDill Air Force Base, there's CENTCOM right here in Tampa. And so I got these fighter pilots that are friends of mine. And they live in my neighborhood. And these guys come over and you cook a steak and you talk with them and they're like, no, dude, let me tell you what happens to our jets. A red orb will just come right up to the jet and then we'll zoom off. We'll see them go in and out of the ocean like crazy. We'll try and track them, but it's really hard for our equipment. And we're flying the next gen Lockheed Martin style jets. They tell me that they tell me they witness this stuff, and they witness it with regularity. And it's just like an accepted phenomenon in their profession. And you get clips like this where it's like, well, what is that? If it breaks apart with a Hellfire missile fired from a Reaper drone and then it reforms. So you asked some intel briefer about this?
Yeah, it wasn't an intel briefer. It was just these type of phenomenons, and it was the same videos that you're showing. Like they our government cannot explain what these are. That's the bottom line. And we obviously, the United States does not have vehicles that can travel at the speeds, kind of like what these pilots are talking about, that can travel at the speeds that these travel at. So I don't have any other information other than that, but apparently I need to go get a cool briefing.
Oh, sorry. sorry to go down that rabbit hole. It's just like, boy, one after another. And I just can't believe when we ask the question, the answers we're getting. So it's fascinating to me. Okay, Congressman, did you hear I'm sure you watched the president's address last night. What's your take on it?
Well, I'm glad that he's talking to the American people about what the objectives and the mission there are, because I think there's been a lot of confusion. And why are we there? What are we doing? What's the focus? And I'm a military guy, so I want a mission and a purpose. What's the objective? Why are we doing what we're doing? So he talked about that. He made it very clear that his intention isn't to stay very much longer, which I think is very positive. I think a lot of people are hoping that we're not there for a period of time. I think there's a lot of strong conservatives that obviously don't want a full-on invasion like we saw in Iraq, and boots on the ground, and a lot of our sons and daughters being in harm's way. So it was good for him to do that. I think it sounds like they're close as it relates to the objectives that they're hitting. I mean, one of the numbers I saw was like 200 sorties and 200 objectives that were hit in a day. 11,000 targets have been hit. So you would think we're getting close to taking out their nuclear facilities, taking out their nuclear capabilities, taking out all of their ballistic missile sites. And again, a lot of this stuff is deeply underground, which is why they had to clear the airspace to then bring in the big bombers to then hit those big bunker buster bombs, because they're buried deep underground. So hopefully we're at a point where we can cease hostilities. Now, from a strategic standpoint, we got to clear the Strait of Hormuz, or at least have an opportunity where commercial traffic can go through the strait. That's probably the big focus now. That's why you're seeing world crude prices go up where they're at, because a lot of the world relies on the traffic through that strait. So I think strategically now the administration is looking at how we can secure that area to ensure that commercial traffic can get back to normal, and we don't have an Iranian regime that has the ability for ballistic missiles and the ability for nuclear warfare.
Do you believe that message has been properly communicated to the American people? Because I got to tell you, man, it's like the only things that the moms in my neighborhood care about are the gas prices, the grocery prices, and the housing prices. And, that's going to be, I think, what the midterms are decided on, right?
Yeah.
And now the gas prices have doubled, so that sucks.
Yeah, and so 2 to 3 weeks from now, if hostilities cease and things can start moving through the strait again, hopefully that, by, November, obviously gas prices are going to be back down, and focusing back on the generation of domestic power and oil and gas here in our country, I think is something that this administration has done. But you're right. I mean, if you look at, it's hard to see. If you look at polling, it's kind of all over the place. If I go to an event in my district, half of the conservatives there agree with what we're doing to take out an Iranian regime that obviously shouldn't have their hands on nuclear power or ballistic missiles or those type of things. And then you have the more individuals think we shouldn't be involved in any hostilities anywhere, because we talked about getting out of all these things. You saw what happened in Venezuela. I mean, it's a great outcome there, where we had a military operation. We went in, we took out Maduro, and now we're actually working with the leaders of their country, and they're selling oil to us. And it's not a rogue nation. They're operating the way they should be operating, totally different. So Iran is obviously very different. The Middle East is very different. You see a lot of the other countries around them rallying behind us, which is good. The Saudis and UAE and all of these different countries, instead of rallying behind the Iranians, rallying behind us, because they don't want a nuclear powered Iran, because it threatens them. So I think in the next couple of weeks, if the hostilities end, a month or so later, those gas prices hopefully will come, well, they should come down. And then we increase production here in the United States will be very helpful.
Are we going to pull out of NATO?
I hope so. I've voted for that numerous times. I've actually authored bills for us to get out of NATO and the UN. I think it's a complete waste of taxpayer dollars. We pay, like, if you look at UN military spending, like 60% is us. It's not other countries. The president's been very clear that other countries need to start stepping up and paying their fair share of GDP into NATO and UN. I think it's outlived its purpose. Those organizations were created after World War II for obviously the European nations to rally behind each other to protect themselves against communism and Nazism and all of the things that happened in World War II. But I think that the times have changed. If you look at the money that these European countries saved, because we were spending the majority and the bulk of spending in NATO and UN, they used it on social welfare programs, which I don't think that we should be bolstering European countries so they can spend their domestic money on social welfare programs. So I think it's far past time that we're not involved in it. And the president has shown that we don't need the UN and we don't need NATO to conduct any type of military activity that he deems fit. We go into Venezuela, we take out Maduro. No UN nation was involved in that. No NATO nation supported us in that. And same with Iran. So if we don't get anything out of it, I don't understand why we continue to waste billions of dollars in taxpayer dollars in a conglomerate with other European nations that don't see policy and don't see the economy in the way that we do.
Yeah, we're finding out what trash allies, they are. Yeah. And I'm not like a massive fan of the move in Iran. Like, I'm just not. I really want to be focused domestically here. I've been very public about that. I also am not some type of geopolitical strategist, nor do I have a security clearance, Congressman. So, I'm not going to sit there screaming and light myself on fire over it, but I want the domestic policies to be the main focus here. Obviously, that's how you win elections. And, we need to win, or else we know what's going to happen. But like, I am an American, and I see them not be allowing our planes to fly over their airspace in, like, Belgium, or Spain, or whatever.
Yeah,
and
Spain.
I'm thinking,
I think Italy's now done it.
These people are trash. These people are garbage.
That is not good. And I know that we have a president right now that's not going to forget that.
Yeah.
Which leads, to some of these tariff issues too. But it's absolutely kind of flabbergasting when the Spanish and the French and the Italians want to come to the United States and do business with us. They want to sell their products here. They want the support from us militarily if something goes bad over there. They want our UN funding. They want our NATO funding. They want our F-16s and F-35s. But when we just want to launch missions from their area and their country, they're denying that airspace. I think is hugely problematic. And again, shows us that we can't rely upon them for anything.
I have this JD Vance clip. I'm not sure if we have it loaded, but I would really love to get your reaction to it because you've broken a ton of news on our program, Congressman, talking about Ilhan Omar. And JD Vance, sort of like, frankly, off the cuff, was talking about fraud. And he just like drops a bombshell on me and on our program just a few short days ago in the White House. And he says, no, you don't understand. Like, we have the documents that prove that Ilhan Omar committed immigration fraud. Stephen Miller has those documents. He's over the DHS portfolio, so he would know and have access to all of it, classified or otherwise. And so she did commit immigration fraud, and we're now looking at remedies for that. You've been pretty strong and full-throated about what you believe Ilhan Omar has done and engaged in the House from an ethical standpoint. What do you think should happen to Ilhan Omar given these revelations from the White House?
Well, if the evidence shows that she committed fraud to become a citizen of our country, she should be deported and charged with a crime. It's pretty basic stuff. I don't know why this hasn't been sent to the DOJ. I would imagine she's not the only one in Minneapolis that have committed immigration fraud to get citizenship in our country, and anybody that has committed an immigration fraud to become a citizen of our country should be charged with a crime and then deported. It's pretty simple. I don't know if there's a statute of limitations on those type of crimes, but there shouldn't be. And if there is, that's something that I would love to look into and try to pass a bill in Congress that has no statute of limitations, because if you committed fraud to become a citizen of our country or to get a visa to come into our country, then you should be held accountable for that and be deported. So hopefully they're going to, whatever information they have, they send that to the DOJ, and AG Bondi is going to take some action on it, because the American people are sick and tired of being taken advantage of. They're sick and tired of the fraud that is rampant, not just in immigration fraud, but you're seeing it with all of this social welfare programming in Minneapolis. You're seeing it in California as it relates to all these different social welfare programs that we are footing the bill for, that are going to people that don't deserve it, that aren't even here legally into our country. So I hope that the DOJ takes whatever evidence it is and moves forward with it.
What about Congress? I know that there are ethics investigations into Ilhan Omar, fake wineries, $30 million, it's like quite egregious, frankly. Her feeding the future programs, right, that she runs. What is there anything that Congress can do? I'm well aware that Congress doesn't arrest people; they can only refer people to DOJ. But is Congress policing itself here?
Well, we can. We have an ethics committee that's supposed to be doing that. And after 2 years of investigation, and Sheila McCormick's that, has been indicted on 15 counts of stealing $5 million in FEMA money. Finally, we're at the point where hopefully the ethics committee is going to meet when we get back, because they had their trial. They found her guilty of 25 of the 27 ethics violations, fraud, embezzlement, stealing $5 million, campaign fraud, all these different things. And as soon as the committee comes up with a recommendation, which I hope is expulsion. You shouldn't have a member of Congress stealing $5 million of taxpayer dollars and then laundering it to their campaign to using campaign purposes. I'm going to file a motion, privilege motion in the floor to expel her as a member of Congress. So there's the ethics committee that can investigate these things. But as it relates to Ilhan Omar, some of the stuff that she's doing is actually legal and ethical. I filed a bill when I first came into Congress that would prohibit and make it illegal for a member of Congress to pay their spouse through their campaign. It's 100% legal. She's paid her husband like $3 to $5 million out of her campaign account for consulting services to his consulting company. That should be absolutely illegal. It's corrupt. It's self-dealing, but it's legal and it's ethical. And I filed a bill to do away with it, and I couldn't even get a committee hearing on it. So it's crazy, the things that you legally and ethically can get away with. And then there's the things that you're not supposed to be doing that are illegal, like this $5 million that this congresswoman from Florida has stolen from the taxpayers, that hopefully that finally, after 2 years of an investigation, there's going to be some accountability for that when we get back in a couple of weeks. Because as soon as they render some type of judgment, I've already filed my motion for expulsion, but I'll call it up for a vote after they do their job.
Is that a clear majority vote? How does that work?
No, to expel is 2/3. So the Democrats are going to have to make a very what's great is, even if the Democrats don't vote to expel one of their own members, that'll be a great campaign issue for us in some of these tough districts. So you voted to not kick out a member of Congress who has been found guilty of laundering $5 million in FEMA fraud. So that'll be a really tough vote for them. And quite frankly, if we're not able to expel a member of Congress for stealing $5 million of taxpayer dollars, then what's the point of having an ethics committee? We shouldn't even have an ethics committee. It's completely and utterly pointless if we can't police our own.
Bro, what's the point of having Congress? I mean, everyone already thinks Congress is a bunch of thieves. Everybody already sees Ilhan Omar's fake winery and $30 million valuation going there dead broke, as an impoverished Somali refugee. And it's like, oh, okay. You can track the portfolios, right? Like, it's so bad. It's such a black eye for Congress itself. If you guys aren't able to kick her ass out. Her name is Sheila McCormick. She is a congresswoman from Florida. She's still a member of Congress.
Still a member of Congress.
Voting.
She's been indicted on 15 felonies. Like if she's found guilty on those 15 felonies, she'll go to prison for 57 years or 55 years or some crazy number.
Good. Well,
she's still serving.
Well, we thank you, Congressman, for at the very least, putting your shoulder in on some of these issues. You fight for these very common sense, man. Like we saw what happened with the SAVE Act. So humiliating. This common sense stuff just doesn't work in DC, and it's enraging. But we appreciate you for fighting and not blackpilling. And we thank you for being a veteran and representing Florida. It's exciting to represent Florida. Very proud Floridian right now. The Florida Sun Coast Congressman Greg Steube. Give him a follow here. He's got 130,000 subscribers. Godspeed, Congressman.
Good to see you.
See ya. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have some breaking news. I think, Klein, it's time to dust off the old breaking news stinger. At the very least, we can report on it. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a breaking news report that Pam Bondi is about to be terminated imminently. Let's consider the source. It's corporate media, right? But this is what's crisscrossing the timeline right now is this. So this is from Semaphore. The president has informed Pam Bondi that her time as Attorney General is nearing an end. Multiple sources tell me. Says Shelby Talcott of Semaphore. It's like a niche boutique news company. But they do have some scoops, and those scoops have played out in the past. I don't think they're as egregious as potentially other news outlets with fake news. Let's go ahead and look. Formal announcement hasn't yet come. All the normal caveats that he could change his mind might apply. He's been speaking with advisors on possible replacement for weeks, as others have reported this week. Bondi is aware of that as well. Well, that is news to me. I don't, again, pretend to have some type of classified clearance or anything like that. I'm just a guy who reports on the alien breeding programs. So here it is. A person familiar with the situation tells me Pam Bondi will be out as AG imminently, confirming scoops from CNN and New York Times. Trump met with EPA boss Lee Zeldin on Tuesday to discuss last year's California wildfires. Trump also discussed potentially tapping him for the Attorney General role. Lee Zeldin? Person close to the White House tells me. Fascinating. Both named Zeldin as the most likely successor. Woof. Okay. What do you think about that, chat? What do you think? Go ahead and ask a former chief of staff to President Trump, Mark Meadows, who's a total legend, just like a straight G, and a good dude, and somebody that we're really happy to have back on the show after a bit of a hiatus, not imposed by us. We like Mark Meadows. Let's have a response to this breaking news. Here we go. Congressman, welcome back to the program. Well, you know, you were the chief of staff for Trump, so I guess you would know this world about as good as anyone. I wanted to talk with you about the whip count for the SAVE Act. I know we'll get there. But since this is breaking news, here's the headline right now at the very tip top of every news site. What do you think about this?
Listen, Benny, it's great to be with you and all your listeners and viewers. Obviously, this is probably not too unexpected, not because of the job that Pam Bondi or General Bondi is doing as much as it is. You have a cycle in the White House. And what we're about to see is at about 18 months, that cycle, you start to rotate people in, rotate people out. The news that you were talking about, Lee Zeldin being a possible replacement, that is surprising. I mean, I served with Lee, know Lee well. I would think that actually Senator Eric Schmidt might be a more normal pick, having served as AG in the state of Missouri. But as you look at this, I think what that particular job, DOJ, is one that there is only a short window. Having been someone who was targeted multiple times in a variety of different ways, I think the president is hyper focused on making sure not only that the House is cleaned out in DOJ, but the reputation is restored. And you see referrals. You were talking about Congressman Steube referring potentially other members of Congress to DOJ. The president is not someone who waits for action. He'll give you a task. He called me one time at 3:18 in the morning and then followed up again at 7:30 a.m. to say, how are you coming on that thing that I gave you in the middle of the night? So he's all about action. That's what we love about this president. And candidly, I'm hearing about it. Actually, you're breaking it, and I'm hearing about it. And I was checking the news and in the Twitter feeds prior to coming on. So bravo to you.
So you believe that this is a certifiable report based on your sources and your connections. Again, you're chief of staff, so can there be better connection?
Well, yeah, there can be a better connection now because I'm not in that inner circle. But Shelby, Shelby's a good reporter. You mentioned kind of a boutique. She's not one to actually put something out on hyperbole. But I can tell you this, that oftentimes what will happen is there's a trial balloon. And so it gets fed legitimately because it's a concern, gets fed in the media. And then the president kind of looks at the response that his followers and his constituents may have to make sure that he's reading the room properly. This could be nothing more than Pam Bondi has been working around the clock for 18 months and saying, hey, it's time to pass the baton. And so we'll know more. But I would just suggest to those that are tuned in right now that to take this report credibly.
Who would you suggest? So you said Eric Schmidt. We love Eric Schmidt. Big fan.
Yeah.
Some people saying Todd Blanche. Other names are being floated out here. Ed Martin, right? You would need to get Senate confirmation for this, right?
Right.
So
right.
that would be a really tough role.
Also, I don't see Ed Martin being the person, and I like Ed. The odds on favor, honestly, are probably more Todd Blanche. Just stepping up. That being said, the president will look at Todd and make sure that whomever they bring in is actually somebody that can work hand in glove with him. I think Todd has, for the most part, not only done a good job defending the president when he was in the private sector, but is working around the clock there at DOJ. And so I'm sure that those conversations have gone on. But a Lee Zeldin pick or something like that, a lot of times, the president will make multiple calls to different people and say, what do you think of this person or that person? We saw it back in Trump 45.
So it's going to be quite a shakeup. I mean, do you think that some of the frustration might have come with inaction on certain topics, fumbles through like the Epstein thing, which was rage-inducing, quite frankly, for me and our audience. Here's a good example. Rand Paul comes on here and he bangs on literally nonstop about how Pam Bondi won't charge Fauci. And that he's hand delivered her with a bow on it, like the prosecution of Dr. Fauci.
Right.
And that she won't touch it. So, I mean, do you think that this that's the frustration?
Yeah, there can be those kind of things, but I will stress, to those that are tuned in right now, the president looking myopically at those individual things, he looks at it more holistically. And so it's not like they come and say, Mr. President, we've got these 20 cases. We're not doing it here. We are doing it there. So he'll look at it more from maybe not a 30,000 foot level, but at least a 10,000 foot level. But as you know, he's a huge consumer of media, and I'm sure that at some point he will be. Not only has he already tuned into what you put forth, but he's a big fan, and as you continue to bring forth some of the message, his way of staying connected is continue to do that. He said, the greatest invention known to man is TiVo, in his opinion. That's because he can watch things round the clock, and yet what I do see with this is that. I think his perception, and I don't want to speak for the president, but is that there have been fumbles. And you mentioned that, and the Epstein rollout, investigation, et cetera, was certainly one of those.
Yeah, it was rage-inducing. It was so easy to do that in a way that doesn't, it's so easy to handle that grenade in a way that doesn't blow up.
Transparency.
But there is. I mean, there totally is. And I think it was like a generational misread of audiences that exist on cable news, which are older and perhaps don't care as much about the Epstein issue, right?
Right.
Many of the producers are implicated in Epstein-style crimes, right, on cable TV. We know that's the truth. Don't check in on Matt Lauer's office and his special button. So there's a reason why they don't want to cover it. But like the online world, which are not millions of viewers, billions of potential viewers, they ravenously cared about Epstein and didn't like being rug pulled, honestly. And
well, they didn't. And Benny, you point that out is that a lot of people of my generation, they feel like if it's not being talked about on cable news, it's not being talked about. You and I know that that's not the case. Correct. In fact, most of my kids, they don't even have cable news. I mean, they're watching, whether it's podcasts or tuned in to your shows and others. That's where they're getting their news. And so it's, as you mentioned, it's not millions, it's billions of people. And yet that's a broader communication, but that's not lost on the president. Listen, I used to have to get up at 6 in the morning to find out what he had tweeted, so I'd know what I had to talk about that day. But so he's a real consumer of all media, not just cable news.
Well, I just want to thank you and maybe get a quick update on the SAVE Act. You have been running a whip count on your X account as to who's for and against. It's been a practice in humiliation for the Republicans in the Senate, as they can't muster 50 votes for this thing, and or 50 votes to end the filibuster, right? Which is what you need to do, I guess, just to get it moving. But there's a lot of different ways to skin the cat here, and you're keeping all the senators honest. How's that going?
Listen, I can tell you the people that are tuned in now that have actually highlighted not only my whip count, but holding them accountable. Bravo to you. Let me just tell you, Washington, D.C. thinks that those billions of people that are tuned in right now, that they don't matter, that they're paid influencers. Yes. And yet what I can say is John Thune goes on the Senate floor to put back this DHS funding. Well, the easiest thing for him to do is, at a minimum, is attach voter ID to the DHS funding. And yet they're not doing that because you get all these Republicans. And I'm focused on the Republicans right now because they're the ones that are in the majority, have the power to do it, who say, oh, no, I'm for the Save America Act, but we just can't get it done. Benny, let me just tell you, they passed an Elizabeth Warren bill, housing bill. It was a bipartisan bill. Tim Scott was the lead, Elizabeth Warren on the other, but they passed it with 80 votes, a bipartisan bill. And privately, many people, Benny, are referring to that as the wigwam bill. How could you let Elizabeth Warren get all these wins and socialist things, and yet they've already passed that and sent to the House, and they can't get something as simple as voter ID? We're going to continue to keep the pressure up. I think not only on the DHS funding component, we may get Save America, but when they look at the FISA reauthorization, I know I've talked to a number of colleagues in both the House and the Senate. I said, a real easy thing is to add a few things to the FISA reauthorization. Let's at least get something out of it. But all those that are tuned in, I want to thank you for highlighting this, because we've had millions of people responding, and it wouldn't have even made it as far as it has had it not been for those that are tuned in. So God bless you, and God bless those that are letting their voice be heard.
I mean, seriously, this is the bill like the only reason anyone's even talking about this is because of Scott Pressler.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
And because of shows, we talk about it constantly. Scott's, of course, been hitting the bricks and doing yeoman's work for it.
And he has.
It's frustrating. It's so annoying.
And Scott's a patriot. You're a patriot. Let me just tell you, when you continue to put that up, listen, the only thing that senators and House members care about is reelection. And yet what happens, let me just tell you a little behind the scenes to bring people in, is when Scott and you and others started to highlight this, it went to that cable news crowd. all of a sudden I was getting people that wrote 6 and 7 figure checks to Republican members who were saying, oh, hold on just a second. I can't believe they can't get this passed. It's an 85% issue. And now what happens is they're saying, well, I'm going to withhold my dollars from you if you're not willing to get this done. Yes. And so it's a long progression. Thank you so much for being in that fight.
So you're a really smart strategist. What would be your advice? Your advice would be to attach it to a must-pass bill?
Yeah, so my advice would be to call Schumer out and those who said they're for voter ID. Within 24 hours, he went into the House floor and said he was for voter ID. So my thing is, I was not a real ID fan. I'm more of a privacy guy. But now that we have real ID, let's go ahead and put a little American flag on there. So if you're a citizen, when you go get your real ID, you got a little American flag on there, and let's make voter ID. We can even simplify the Save America Act down to that, and make Schumer and them vote against that. Again, you can't get reelected voting against 85% of the American people.
Okay. Well, if we keep talking about it, right? But Republicans are just so weak. They're just constantly so weak on messaging, so weak on actually getting views or having anybody tune in online, or staying consistent on message. This, obviously.
Well, they are, but let me just say this. Here's the pressure that needs to be, is they thought that by leaving for the Easter and Passover break, that the pressure would come up. What we need to do is, the minute they come back, is it needs to be ramped up. Nobody's there other than a few senators and a few House members in Washington, D.C. right now. But we need to ramp it up and make it go exponentially. And finally, I think that the president is with us on this, so they can't even say that the president's not with us.
Yeah, listen, I would love for Lindsey Graham to be able to wave his magic bubble wand, and instead of bombing another Middle Eastern country, to pass the flipping SAVE Act. That'd be nice.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure Lindsey. Maybe you could advise me. The wand he has looks magical. Maybe you could advise him.
Hey, and listen, if I had a magic wand, we would actually be changing some members in the House and the Senate. You heard from Greg Steube how difficult it is to get rid of a Democrat who's been really found guilty, at least through the ethics committee, of 25 of 27 charges. If we can't do that magic wand, but it wouldn't just stop there. Listen, I'm a big Second Amendment guy. When you go out to shoot, if you pull the trigger and the gun doesn't fire, you don't keep pulling the trigger. You eject the shell. You get rid of the dud. I think it's time we get rid of some duds in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, it's just a really bad look from Senator Graham. That's just not a great.
I thought it was AI at first. I must confess, I thought it was AI at first.
Yeah, there's plenty of AIs though of him in the princess dress, and so. Okay, well, yeah, we'll. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see what happens next. Obviously, it's something that I am now inclined to ask. You have top secret security clearance.
Yeah.
As chief of staff, you have probably the top of the top secret security clearance because you're in these meetings. You're in what will be the new military structure underneath the grand ballroom and so on. Did you ever take a peek at any of the alien or UFO files?
Obviously, that was a big deal back then, but it's a bigger deal now. I can tell you that was not one of my top looks back in the day. I will say there are obviously a lot more to the story behind it. J.D. Vance, Vice President Vance, obviously has weighed in on that. Listen, I come from the mountains of North Carolina and live now in the upstate of South Carolina. We think there needs to be a Sasquatch viewership and a Sasquatch caucus. I think that would go really well. Listen, everybody looks at those kind of things as certainly something they would like to know from not only the classified briefings, but other intel. And yet it seems like the lack of transparency makes it grow bigger than it actually is. But with a top secret clearance, I can tell you that was not one of the things in my morning briefings that I would get from the CIA.
So, I mean, was there anything that came across your desk though that was like about that? Like,
not during my tenure there. There wasn't. We were all focused on COVID and other things, Benny.
Makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. I know you were there at a
I was there with Fauci, who, by the way, Rand Paul is right to go on a tirade. Dr. Fauci needs to be held accountable for what he did while I was chief, and even beyond while President Biden in his first year or so. Some of the things that they've looked at in the evidence that Rand Paul has put forth, he was right. I mean, I was calling him during those hearings and saying, you're over the target. Continue to go on. I don't want to convict anybody here on TV, but at the same time, he needs to be held accountable.
So you think he's you think he's a liar? Did he misled you? Did he mislead the president?
I think there were certainly areas where the president was misled in a number of ways that could have been more factually honest.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Real quickly on factual honesty, I see it like, and since you were there as chief of staff during January 6th, right? Like,
yeah.
You know, and you were dragged through the ringer for that, and they tried to destroy you for serving the president during that time. They tried to hoax you out. What do you think of that, the January 6th pipe bomber? I'm seeing that now pop up a little bit more in my feed. You know, they got the right guy, they got the wrong guy. I feel like there's at least there's been no like reasonable explanation. Right?
There's no reasonable explanation that it took this long to find the right guy or the wrong guy. You know, you want to be careful there, but there's no reason why that should have taken that long. Our intel capabilities are superior to anybody in the world, and so to be able to do this, and what Director Patel and others were able to accomplish was just putting in real hard work to get it done. And so there's no reason why that should have taken that long. And yet, I want to make sure that he gets his day in court. And so again, it's real easy to read reports and make conclusions, but I can tell you the kind of information that the FBI and others have been able to put forth in the last several months is quite overwhelming.
Okay. I mean, for me, it's like, could you explain it all a little better? Right?
Yeah.
It don't make no sense.
And the motivations behind it, that's the thing. That's what you're hearing from the people that are tuned in right now, is it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It still doesn't make sense to me with the guy that's there, the motivation that is out there. Yeah.
And the whole like, trust us, bro, move on. It's like that era of government's over, right? Like it's like,
that era of government is long over.
Every member of the Trump administration who I like sit down with or have like meet or get a chance to talk to, it's like, I beg of you, you have to show your work, right? Like people are not going to just believe you. Right?
For boomers like me, it goes back to the elementary school days. You got to show your homework, baby. And the dog ate it is not a good enough excuse.
Everybody follow Mark Meadows. You really believe there should be a Sasquatch? Do you believe Sasquatch? Do you ever get the Sasquatch files, Mark?
No, I didn't get the Sasquatch files, but I have watched a whole lot about Sasquatch, and I find it intriguing, and I love the watch. And obviously, it was a humorous anecdote where UFOs, I think, in fact, I would suggest, are a lot more time worthy of our investment.
Oh, okay. So so you'd be for the UFO files instead of the Sasquatch files.
Definitely.
Okay, I'd still like to see the Sasquatch files. I'd still like to see it. I don't, but thank you very much, Mark. Appreciate it. And,
great to be with you, Benny.
Godspeed, man.
All right, same to you.
Thank you. I don't know why the Sasquatch files are so interesting. You could find Sasquatch on live every single day on ABC News. You can just see Whoopi Goldberg on The View. American financing, ladies and gentlemen, is here for you to get you out of high-interest credit card debt. American financing, ladies and gentlemen, is how you get out of usury rates. Usury rates are like 20 and 30%. Rates that I believe should be criminal. So does the president. Anyway, reconsolidate your debt back into the fives and make sure that you are locked in for whatever future we're going to have in this country. I want us to get back to domestic policy issues. I got to tell you, American Financing is America's home for home loans. 888-528-1219. That's 888-528-1219. AmericanFinancing.net/Benny. Yeah, man, DEI is a killer. Ketanji Brown Jackson making a case for why DEI needs to be banned and banned forever. She is the first woman Supreme Court justice that doesn't know what a woman is. She was nominated because she was a black woman. That's what Biden said again and again and again. And she's showing us exactly why DEI kills, right? Whether you're an airline pilot or a Supreme Court justice. This is the critical birthright citizenship debate that's going on inside of the Supreme Court right now. Ketanji Brown Jackson asking this brilliant question. Let's listen.
I was thinking about this, and I think there are various sources that say this, that you can have, obviously have permanent allegiance
just the voice.
Based on being born in whatever country you're from. That's what everybody recognizes. But you also have local allegiance when you are on the soil of this other sovereign. And I was thinking, I, a U.S. citizen, am visiting Japan. And what it means is that, if I steal someone's wallet in Japan, the Japanese authorities can arrest me and prosecute me. It's allegiance, meaning can they control you as a matter of law? I can also rely on them if my wallet is stolen to, under Japanese law, go and prosecute the person who has stolen it. So there's this relationship based on, even though I'm a temporary traveler, I'm just on vacation in Japan, I'm still locally owing allegiance in that sense.
Never go full retard.
Oh, thank you, Klein. Should I just leave it at that? No, we got to go off on Ketanji Brown Jackson. Just real fast. Okay. Don't ever go full retard. This is what it looks like when you go full. So birthright citizenship is not about you're traveling somewhere committing crimes. It's funny how she goes there. Isn't that interesting? DEI hires. Brutal. It's funny how she goes there. She goes, I go to Japan and I commit a bunch of crimes. I start stealing stuff. All right. Okay, lady. So her initial instinct is, I travel to Japan and start pickpocketing people. I start stealing their wallets. And I must now suffer under Japanese law, even though I'm an American. Okay. There's not a single person on earth that thinks you should be allowed to go to any country you want on earth and start murdering or stealing, raping or pillaging. It's nobody. Nobody thinks that. Nobody thinks that. So what's going on here exactly? Ketanji Brown Jackson is trying to make a case that her going to Japan and thieving, committing crimes, makes her Japanese. It's a birthright citizenship argument. Going to Japan and stealing doesn't make her Japanese. It makes her a sub-room temperature IQ Black American woman nominated by a mentally incompetent white guy who couldn't even sign his own commission to the Supreme Court. So is her nomination even real? Is a great question. If the guy who's nominating her can't sign his own name and doesn't know who she is, and Joe Biden didn't know who she is, Joe Biden met her and seriously still didn't know who she was, is she even really a Supreme Court justice? Sure as hell doesn't sound like a Supreme Court justice. All the ums and ahs, pauses, and saying like. Sounds like a Valley girl. She sounds like the Clue girl, right? But fast forward to her actual argument, please. Let's get past the syntax. The fact that this lady doesn't even know what a woman is. Joe Biden, I don't know, black woman. So she like stands there all the time as the token black woman, literally the token black woman. It's a South Park episode. We lived through a live South Park episode. That's what we lived through. It's a live South Park episode. Joe Biden, I have a black woman. So here, I found a black woman. Stand her up like the cardboard Ayatollah. And then she's asked what a woman is, and she doesn't know. So, like, what the hell is that? She's not a real Supreme Court justice. I don't believe that she's actually lawfully on the Supreme Court. That's what I believe. And you should be with me on that, because you don't want other countries to realize how stupid we actually are. Like, how truly low IQ. I mean, I just can't tell you how much Ketanji Brown Jackson sets back DEI, black women. She actually sets them back. You know, the whole thing is like, we're gonna show what you can accomplish. No, it sets you back. Because the dumbest argument, not only are you like getting totally nominated because of your skin color, right, which is just like reverse Jim Crow, but and not because of your brains, but then you're proving again and again that you're too dumb to be on the Supreme Court, that you're too dumb to probably navigate the subway, to parallel park, to get Uber Eats, a big arch, get McRib on Uber Eats. She wouldn't know how to do it. She'd have to steal it if she was in Japan. The question at hand is about birthright citizenship. It's about whether infinity foreigners, 8 billion people, can all travel to America, pop out a kid, and they're all Americans, which is dumb. No other country does that. No other country would ever consider doing that. No, Japan, if Ketanji Brown Jackson went over to Japan and popped out a baby, they wouldn't consider that baby Japanese. Be very smart for the Japanese to not consider that baby Japanese. With full voting rights for Japan, with full welfare rights for Japan. That would be suicidal for Japan to have Ketanji Brown Jackson's progeny in Japan. That's what the actual question is. The question is about committing crimes. Can we argue the ideas here? The semantics here is obscene and really, really hard to listen to. So anyway, like why even make what are we even doing here? If we have Supreme Court justices that are too dumb to even understand what birthright citizenship is and how the example that you're using doesn't apply, of course, everyone, if you go to any country and you commit a crime, you should be held accountable for the crime that you commit. The question is, are our laws suicidal? Are they interpreted correctly? Is this post-Reconstruction Civil War statute that applied to slaves, like the children of slaves, should that apply to a Guatemalan? Should that apply to Infinity Indians? Should that apply to every Russian? Should that apply to truly the peoples of Earth? Does that make them all Americans if they were able to just get their asses to an American territory? You don't even have to go to America. You just go to like Guam. You can go to the Philippines. This is where all the Chinese go to have their secret American babies. You travel to the Philippines. You don't even have to go far. You just go to an American territory and pop out a kid, and that's an American forever. That's suicidal as a country, as a people, as a culture. Those children have no allegiance to America. They're being used as weapons against us. And Ketanji Brown Jackson is the perfect result of what happens when the dumbest people in society are weaponized against us. SCOTUS, oral argument, word counts. She speaks 5 times more than Clarence Thomas. What does that tell you? Maybe I should shut up, right? I'm at a 1 hour and 30-minute show here, Klein. Maybe I should shut up. Man, this one just sent me. This one sent me. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Advantage Gold, the final partner of our show. Get physical gold and silver. Things are topsy-turvy right now. I don't like the $4 gas prices. I hate them. In fact, I hate them with every fiber of my being. Gold, if you got some spare change, dude, I'm telling you, the stock market's gone nuts. Crypto market's gone nuts. Gold has ups and downs, that's for sure, but like it's something that has remained stable over time. Something that's performed really well for me over time. Text Benny to 85545 for Advantage Gold, my trusted gold provider. Advantage Gold. You'll instantly see your gold investment kit sent right to your inbox. The gold rally, ladies and gentlemen, has been pretty historic over the last few years. Text Benny to 85545 right now to find out more and to profit from Advantage Gold. All right, what are the chances? Pam Bondi. Let's go ahead and look here. What are the chances of Pam Bondi out as Attorney General by when? When? 38% that she's out by next week or 2 weeks from now. 95% that she's out by December 31st. That would be, of course, in a couple, 8 months. So the chances just kind of exponentially increase here for Pam Bondi. Uh-oh. Who will be the next to leave the Trump cabinet? Well, there you go. Yikes. That is gone parabolic. Money markets always know, man. Okay, I guess we'll see, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to stay locked and loaded with our verse of the day. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world. Make sure that you are centered on what actually matters, your relationship with Christ Jesus. From the Psalms, Psalms 19. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Ah, that's a beautiful verse, Klein. Thank you. That's a beautiful verse for today. It was inspiring to watch that rocket blast off. I watched it yesterday, and I was like, this is Christendom, the exploration of God's creation, and I'd love to get more back to that. I mean, that's like America at its best. Please watch our interview with Jared Isaacman, the NASA administrator. Is up live on the YouTube channel. And stay tuned for some other big and exciting announcements, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you. March with us. Stay locked in. Know that the victory is guaranteed, set before us, and that Christ is King. Over all the heavens and all the earth, rejoice, for the heavens declare the glory of God, and the skies declare the work of his hand. See ya.
Hey. Guess what day? Shiver. Distraction for the masses. All roads and towns are messes as we depart with more taxes. There's unlimited power for the powerless. Powerful technocratic aliens. It must be April's Fool's Day because you'd have to be a fool to believe it. But guess what? Everything won't be okay. Guess what? Tell you what. Yeah, it is. It's hot. Get it
The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest kings, and their dying legacy, media deal release. Soon will the Benny Show come to mind, the salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun, we sail for number one. Soon will the penny show. Come to mine the salt from lids for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for #1. The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest king.